question on your mind then is, well, how do I do it? How do I do this thing called market research? Well, let's dig into that a little further. What is market research? Well, market research is a set of organized tools and processes that we use to research markets, where markets are how many people use a product, what kind of products people are using, where they're using them, why they're using them. And you can use the same set of tools for researching services as well. It's also about understanding customers. Who is using it? Why are they using it? And what are they using it for? So we do this in order to understand and then act upon our market's needs and preferences. Because if we can understand what is required, then we can better meet those needs and preferences. Market research can take two main forms. What we call primary market research, which is about gathering new data directly from the field. So primary kind of means new. It's not already there. It's not already written down in a report. We have to go and find it. And then secondary is that flip side. It's gathering data from existing, often published sources. In needs finding, secondary research is often used to identify and help identify and inform us where to look. So who is involved in this process? Well, let's go and find that out on the internet by talking to people, by reading reports. Where are the markets? How big are they? What locations are they in? Where in the country? Where in the world? Where in my locale? So secondary research tends to be about aiming where we're going to look. Primary research is most commonly used to identify new data. So we're unlikely to find new data in old data, something of an oxymoron. So primary research is where we go out and look in those places that we've identified look important to us in order to identify new insights and those unmet, underserved, and unarticulated needs. So primary research is our main field tool for going and gathering this new exciting stuff. Within primary research, we typically utilize two main approaches. There are others, but two kind of initial primary research approaches are observing stakeholders and talking with stakeholders. So you've heard interviewing. I mean, if you want to understand how to bake a cake, you ask somebody who knows how to bake a cake. If you want to see the steps involved, you might watch them do it. Which to use is driven by which approach will yield the richest data. So interviewing might be most appropriate for an office-based manager. So, I mean, watching somebody typing on a keyboard and working on spreadsheets, probably not going to tell us a huge amount. That's somebody we want to talk to. You know, what do these numbers do? How do you interpret them? What do they mean? How do you act upon them? So interviewing we might use for somebody in that kind of situation. But for a plumber installing a new cooktop in a kitchen, in a house, talking to him, he's probably not going to have much to say to you, but watching him install that, you're going to learn a huge amount. How he chooses fittings, how he mounts things, how he makes sure things are gas-proof or correctly wired, how he makes sure that everything's working and just right. So observation would be a great tool to use in that kind of field setting. In many cases, we actually begin with observational research, and by watching somebody carry out an activity, it poses all manner of questions that we then want to ask, and we follow up with interviews to uncover why something happened. So we saw you do this, we know what you did, but we want to know why it's done that way.